border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, its dishes, and its spoons, and its bowls, and its covers, to cover withal, of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick, its shaft, and its branch, its bowls, its knobs, and its flower were the same. And the 6 branches going out of the side thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knob and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in another branch, a knob and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, its knob and its flowers, and a knob under 2 branches of the same, and a knob under 2 branches of the same, and a knob under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knobs and their branches were the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made it 7 lamps, and its snuffers, and its snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it, and 4 horns thereof were the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the perfumer. That was Exodus, the 37th chapter.
Good morning, class. I would like to remind everyone at this time to please quiet all cell phones and electronic devices so our class is not disturbed. Choir.
Testing, testing. We need some wisdom. We need the truth. We need some beauty. We need the proof. And in the meantime, I know that he's inside. Oh, now I know Yahshua, and I'm satisfied. Now listen, went to the ocean, stood in the surf. I heard the water, I felt the earth. I heard the angels, y'all couldn't be denied. Now I know Yahshua, and I'm satisfied. Oh yes, we learn to believe him, he's the only righteous man. I try to do the best I can. He is the teacher, the truth is in the Son. We can leave it all behind, this carnalness. We got Yahshua's wisdom. Yahshua is the truth. He's got plenty of beauty. He gives all kinds of proof. Oh, that means right now. That means right now the Holy Spirit is inside. Now I know Yahshua and I'm satisfied. All right, let's sing. Yahweh is the reason that we were born. Yahshua's the answer we all been looking for. All the others, they stood around and lied. Yes, they did. But now we know Yahshua. That makes us so satisfied. Sing it, choir. We got Yahshua's wisdom. Yahshua is the truth. He's got plenty of beauty. He gives all kinds of proof now. Oh, that means right now. That means right now the Holy Spirit tabernacles inside. Now we know Yahshua. We're satisfied. Thank you, Yahshua. You made us satisfied. Ooh. Test.
Well, it may not be on a mountaintop over by the stormy sea. It may not be on a mountain so high, well, Yahweh has a need of me. And if by some small voice he'll call me to a land that I do not know, well, take time to put on my traveling shoes and say, Yahweh, send me where you want me to go. And I'll go if I have to go by myself. I'll go if I have to go by myself. If my mother, my father, my sister, my brother don't go, and I'll go if I have to go by myself. want you to send me. Yes, Yahweh, send me. Oh, send me. Yahweh, send me. If you want me to sing, I'll sing for you. If you want me to pray, I'll pray for you. If you want me to teach, I'll teach for you. You just have to send me. Yes, Yahweh, send me. Yes, now, anytime, anywhere. I got a well-fixed heart and a made-up mind, and I'll go if I have to go by myself. Oh, you know I've come from a mighty long way. Tell it wherever I go. The victory's mine and the battle is won. Well, Yahweh has made it so. And if this truth falls on dead ears, I'll preach right on through my falling tears. Take time to put on my traveling shoes and say, Yahweh, send me where you want me to go. And I'll go if I have to go by myself. I'll go if I have to go by myself. If my mother, my father, my sister, my brother don't go, and I'll go if I have to go by myself. I want you to send me. Yes, Yahweh, send me. Whoa, send me. Yes, Yahweh, send me. If you want me to sing, I'll sing for you. If you want me to pray, I'll pray for you. If you want me to teach, I'll teach for you. You just have to send me. Yes, Yahweh, send me. Well, anytime, anywhere. I got a well-fixed heart and a made-up mind, and I'll go if I have to go by myself.
Our first speaker for today will be the Dean of our school and the Dean of the State of Michigan, Dr. Terry Walsh.
Thank you. All right, good. Well, greetings in Yahshua. I'm really, really glad to see everybody here in person, and I know that there are those joining us virtually. And this morning, I want to address a subject that we don't go into in a lot of detail quite often, but it really has to do with making it very clear that Yahweh Elohim created everything by his own pattern, and that he revealed this in the visions that he gave. That's what is to be taught. That's his Torah, his teaching. And this could only be understood if, in fact, the Creator himself made it happen, controlled everything, made everything in such a way that it operates by this unerring pattern, and then revealed this to someone. in such a way that he was able to put it down and make it clear. That's why Yahweh gave visions to Moses, to the Apostle John, and to Dr. Kinley and others. And he was showing things about himself in his own pattern. There are three fundamental aspects of what Yahweh teaches, and these are in the three main visions that he gave to Moses, which is the one to whom Yahshua always referred when he was teaching. He began at Moses to teach about himself, and Moses received the first vision here at the burning bush, where Yahweh gave his name to Moses. That's more than a label. That's not something that's just placed on Yahweh. It's not a man-given name. It's an expression, a declaration of who Yahweh is as the source, substance, limits, and bounds of everything that causes everything to exist and operate. His name. Second vision he gave to Moses for 40 days and 40 nights on top of Mount Sinai, in which he showed Moses this tabernacle pattern each day of those 40 days and 40 nights, and went into intimate detail, intricate detail, during 33 of those 40 days and nights. And Exodus, the 37th chapter, was read at the beginning of class, which is one portion of the account of what Yahweh Elohim showed Moses up here about how the Ark of the Covenant, the table of shewbread, the altar of incense, and the lampstand were to be made. And all these things have specific dimensions, weights, details. They are intended to portray specific things about the way Yahweh made stuff. Now, one of the things I love about numbers is that numbers get very specific. And although a lot of people don't relate real well with numbers, they are incredibly useful, and that's what we are going to do, is just focus on those in this particular class. And one of the things I want to point out right in the beginning is that the way Yahweh designed this, he originally had it accounted for in a system of units that Moses and the Hebrews used, people that Yahweh had built this tabernacle. But the ultimate revelation of importance and meaning of these things, and the proof that this came from the Creator who made everything throughout history, including all the things in modern history, is the fact that these system of units actually carried their greatest degree of revelation of understanding in the modern system that is called the imperial system of units, that is used now almost exclusively in the United States, and nowhere else in the world is it used much. And it is a system of units that appears to man to be an arbitrary system of units, meaning that the metric system, for example, is based on dimensions of the earth and the scientific measurements, and then everything is done in a decimal type system where you have, something in one decimal point being tenfold or 1/10, and etc. With the imperial system of units, it was designed after the dimensions or distances of each portion of the king's body. Now, that king was not the creator of the universe, but Yahweh used that as a representation of the fact that he is the King of Kings, and that these dimensions in the tabernacle show the dimensions of his body, his purpose, in the details that are in there. So Moses knew nothing about the imperial system of units. John the Apostle knew nothing about the imperial system of units, neither did any other Bible writer. Okay? And yet it is in this imperial system of units that Yahweh has made everything so specific that you can end up actually calculating the dates and times at which events occur and did occur and will occur. Yahweh showed this to Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley to such an extent that Dr. Kinley was able to use the pattern to predict specific events and foretell of many things, and including events right down to the moment that they would happen. For example, when he would look at the watch on his arm in class and say that Cardinal Stritch just died, or certain other kinds of events. And so I want to show this to you. It'd be nice if you learned and understood it to the extent that it really empowered you to use it that way, but that's not what's necessary. What the purpose of this is to show us that this is indisputable, that it comes from the Creator, so that we end up with faith in Yahshua and in his teaching that he has revealed. Okay? So that's the point. So I'm going to go through certain things, and to do this, let me see. I kind of updated a document with a little more detail that I think is on the website, but I'm calling this the numbers and dimensions of the tabernacle, or tabernacle numbers. And we may or may not get through everything today, but that's fine. This is available for everybody, okay? And it is something that everyone should be able to use and take some time to look at. So I'm going to give the readers these, and as we go through this, I may write some things out and show some things here on this scale model. Now, Dr. Andy and Sue Craig made this scale model of the tabernacle years ago, and because it's made to scale, it gives you a sense of the relative distances of certain things, okay? Now, we often use this in class because it shows the different vessels and the basic threefoldness very, very clearly in a visual way. And Dr. Kinley had these charts made for that purpose. You have a most holy place, and court round about, which represents the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in one embodiment. You are made in the image and likeness of Yahweh Elohim, both spiritually and physically. Physically, you have a head cavity, chest cavity, and abdominal cavity shown here. And the organs in there are comparable to the vessels, or vessels we call them, in the tabernacle. Your soul, which is spiritual, follows identically the same pattern, so that your soul and body are two manifestations of the Spirit that made them. And just like Yahweh is spirit, invisible, he took on a shape and a form. That's one manifestation of him. And then he manifested in the physical or tangible form, so that there was both a corporeal or physical manifestation and an incorporeal or spiritual manifestation of him. Just like you have spirit that manifests in your soul and in your body, and these follow the pattern. Okay, now, we show this here, but this is not a scale model. This is a scale model which is useful for then showing the actual relative distances or the dimensions involved, the numbers that are involved. And some of the scriptures and some of the numbers are shown over here as kind of a legend, and here in some of the things that are written. And again, these things are also available on the website. And I updated this document, so I'll probably end up sending it to Dr. Andy Craig so that he can upload it and maybe take out the old one or whatever. It's just a little more extensive. So I just want you to understand the basic idea. This is the most holy place. This is the holy place. And this is the court roundabout of the tabernacle. This is the most holy place, this is the holy place, and this is the court roundabout of the tabernacle here, so you can see the difference in scale. All right? But now let's get into some of the numbers. So I'll just leave it to the readers, and that'll hopefully keep us on track on some of the basic things here.
Numbers and dimensions of the tabernacle. Tabernacle numbers. 9 substances in 3 groups of 3 were like 9 attributes in 3 groups of 3.
Let me comment. When Yahweh had the children of Israel make the tabernacle, in Exodus the 25th chapter, that's where it's recorded that Yahweh Elohim commissioned Moses to let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. And that sanctuary, of course, is the tabernacle. And then he talks about having the children of Israel take up an offering. And he specifies the things that are to be collected and offered for the construction of the tabernacle. Now, there are 9 of those items that were to go into the actual structure of the tabernacle. And there are some other things that were to go into the use and services of the tabernacle, such as with the garments of the priest and some of the things that went on those garments. But in the structure of the tabernacle, there were 9 items. 3 metals, gold, silver, and brass. 3, I'll call them organic materials. Okay, or let me just do it this way, 3 coverings, which had skin, hair, and linen, okay? And then there were 3 organic materials, which were, my brain is, the oil and the wood, the oil and the wood, and there's another one. And the incense, okay, all right. The oil and the spices, yes, okay, all right. But anyway, those were the 9 primary substances that went to make the tabernacle, and those were collected from the children of Israel. The children of Israel brought them up with them out of the land of Egypt, which represents coming out of chaos, okay, or out of abstraction or out of a state of disorder. But when they brought those substances forward and offered them, and then the substances were used to make a tabernacle, then those substances took on a shape and a form. That was a symbol that Yahweh, as pure spirit, is all the attributes, including the 9 primary attributes of intelligence, wisdom, and knowledge, that's the first triad, beauty, love, and justice, the second triad, foundation, power, and strength, the third triad, and those have no shape and form that's discernible in an abstract state or in pure spirit. However, when he brought them forth and they were born into an embodiment or a form, they were put into a specific shape and form and took on the shape and form, and this is what is called the Word of Yahweh, which is Yahweh expressed, or the Son of Yahweh, which is Yahweh who bore his product, his offspring, his son. This is the Word or the Son of Yahweh. It is Yahweh, it is Spirit, but it's simply Spirit in a set shape and form or specific organization of these attributes, which is fixed and unalterable for the entire creation, and then imbued with universal spirit law that causes that shape and form to have the power to create, destroy, to operate, and organize everything that it makes. Okay? And so that power of universal spirit law operating in there is a symbol, or is symbolized by the priests which would operate or perform services in the tabernacle. Okay? Now, so you had 9 attributes taking on shape and form in one great spirit embodiment. You had 9 substances taking on shape and form in one tabernacle, which is a manifestation or a symbol of this great spirit embodiment. Okay? All right. Go ahead.
Stones were in the temple structure.
Now, there was also stones that were collected, but the stones were not part of any structure in the tabernacle. They were used on the high priest's garment and for other things in service in the tabernacle, but the temple, which was a greater and more glorified tabernacle, showing really the super incorporeal spiritual body of Yahshua the Messiah, or Yahweh Elohim, while this one manifested more of the things about his physical manifestation or physical body. This temple was made primarily of stones. And there's some details on the differences here too. But there was still the threefold structure: oracle, sanctuary, and porch, compared to most holy place, and court round about. Okay? And this was in the promised land, so this is showing a heavenly, glorified, spiritual body, rather than this one, which was transient and movable, covered with skin and hair, which is showing a physical body, which is temporal or temporary. Okay?
The tabernacle, the sanctuary, the holy place, and the front of the court round about are each threefold or divisible in length by the number 3.
So, there's 3 main parts: most holy place, and court round about. But the most holy place and holy place actually formed a house in the middle of a courtyard, more visible here. This is a 2-room house in the middle of the courtyard, or the court roundabout. And it is important to understand that these are joined together as part of something, and angelic figures were in here. So this is showing the things that are spiritual, more so spiritual on a higher level than the things in the court roundabout, which is showing things that are more in the physical. Okay? And the exact dimensions and comparisons that are here are what we're going to go into in some detail, but I just want you to see this. Now, everything is threefold because Yahweh manifests in a threefold fashion. No, well, maybe it's listed there. So
That is,
go ahead.
3 of 50, 3 of 15, 3 of 10, and 3 of 23 as follows.
Okay, now, there's 3 of 50. In other words, the length of the court was 100 cubits, which happens to be 150 feet. A cubit is 1.5 feet. They didn't use feet in inches, but the cubits that they used were about 1.5 feet, which also would be 18 inches. Okay? And so those, if you had 100 cubits, you multiply that by 1.5, and you get 150 feet. Okay? That's the length. Now the width is 50 cubits or 75 feet. Okay? And you'll notice that if you have this length, it is 1/2 of this length. So you have 1, 2, 3 lengths in the court. Did I do something with it?
Yeah.
Okay. If I need to move this, let me know. And by the way, for those people that are really into some of these things, that relative position is called phi. It is considered a mystical is not the word, but it's used in mysticism. Comparison, that dimension of 1 to 2 on the side making the 3. Okay, but anyway, so there's this. Now, you can't evenly divide 100 by 3 because you'd get 33 and a third. And if you do that in decimals, it's 33.3333333333 indefinitely. But once it's converted into this system of units that never existed in Moses' time, feet and inches, this becomes 150 feet. You can easily divide 150 by 3, and what do you get? You get 50. So this distance was 350s. Okay? Now, inside was the 2-room house, the most holy place and holy place joined together, and this happened to be 45 feet. Now 45 feet is divisible by 3 easily, which is 3 times what? 15 feet. It just so happens the most holy place was 15 feet long, and the holy place was twice that. It was 30 feet long. So again, you've got that relative dimension of 1 to 2. Like 1 to 2 out here. Okay? Also, this entire structure was 15 feet wide at each point. So the most holy place was 15 feet by 15 feet. Okay? The holy place was 15 feet by 30 feet. The two together would be 45 feet long, which is 3/15s. Make sense? Okay? All right. So let's go to the next part.
The tabernacle is...
Oh, wait a minute. I missed one. I'm sorry. I neglected to explain what that meant about the court roundabout. This court roundabout was actually 70 feet. Okay? Now 70 feet again is very difficult to divide by 3 and get an exact number in decimals without going 0.33333333. But Yahweh did a thing here. He had the priest anointed at the door. Now, how much distance on the ground would a priest take up when he stands there?
A foot.
1 foot. That's why you call it a foot. So you subtract from the 70 the 1 foot and you get 69. 69 is divisible by 3 as 3 23s. So what you would have here is a distance of 3 23s. 23 feet from the gate to the altar, 23 feet from the altar to the laver, and 23 feet to where the priest stood before the door, with him standing in the 70th foot. He represents Yahshua the Messiah coming in the 70th week of the prophecy, which we'll get into. Okay? All right. All right, let's move on.
The tabernacle is 150 feet long, and the covered compartments, holy and most holy, together are 45 feet.
Okay.
The second veil is 1/3 of these distances from the back of each. That is 50 feet from the back of the tabernacle and 15 feet from the back of the most holy place.
Which, by the way, is one thing I neglected to mention when I was explaining. That's a 2-room house, and we showed about the threefoldness here. But what I didn't show earlier, was where that was placed in here, or why it was placed at exactly the position that it was. Again, it goes back to the threefoldness. So if you divide this 150 by 3, you get 50 feet. So that's 1/3 of it, and 1/3 of this segment is the most holy place. So if you come down 50 feet and you draw a line right across there, 1/3 of the sanctuary is here in the most holy place, and 1/3 of the distance of the entire courtyard is at the same place. So basically, this second veil would be 50 feet from the back wall and 100 feet from the gate. Okay? Please read.
The second veil is 100 feet from the gate, or 2/3 the total length of the tabernacle, and it is 30 feet from the door, or 2/3 the length of the compartments.
So this second veil was 30 feet from the doorway into the sanctuary, okay, which is, again, 1/3 of the distance. This is 1/3 of the distance of the entire sanctuary. Please read.
The 30 feet length of the holy place is 3 parts.
Now this holy place has 3 parts, okay? Go ahead.
10 feet from second veil
Okay,
to
so
altar of incense.
If you divide 30 feet by 3, how many feet do you get? 10. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So if you come 10 feet from the second veil down, you get the level at which the altar of incense was placed. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now you read about the dimensions of it, you didn't read about where it was placed. Well, by the divine pattern, it's placed right here, 1/3 of the way from here
Second
to
veil.
here. 1/3 of the distance is 10 feet. That's where the altar of incense was placed. Then you go another 1/3 of the distance, which is 10 more feet, and that is the level at which the lampstand and the table are placed. And then that leaves another 10 feet, or 1/3 of the distance, to go to the door. Make sense? Okay? So 10, 10, 10. Please read.
10 feet to table and candlestick, and 10 feet to first veil or door.
Right.
The 69 feet of 70 feet length of the front court is 3 parts. 23 from door to laver, plus 23 to altar of sacrifice, plus to the gate equals 69 feet. The 70th is counted by itself, as is the 7th day Sabbath and 70th week of Daniel 9:24 through 27.
So I mentioned that he stood there in the 70th foot, which is a foreshadowing of the 70th week of the prophecy of Daniel, where the Messiah would come in. What I didn't mention was that the 7th day in the Sabbath, or in a week, as Yahweh showed it with the creation, the 7th day was also set off by itself. It was the Sabbath day, it was the day of rest. Work was done on all the other days, okay? And this shows, again, a threefoldness, okay? And a threefoldness with 2 levels, like the incorporeal and the corporeal, or the heavenly and the physical. The first 3 days are before the sun, moon, and stars, so it shows what occurred in eternity before time, and there are no physical objects mentioned as being created there, but there is a form of life, except for on the 3rd day, well, and I'm getting ahead of it because it's in the text there. But on the 3rd day, you have the first life, which is vegetable life, vegetation. And that they have no blood. Vegetables have no blood. They have something that is a corollary of blood, but they don't have blood as we call it. And as Paul wrote, flesh and blood shall not enter into heaven, or the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Anyway, so there's 1, 2, 3 days here. That's threefold. And then days 4, 5, and 6, that's another 3 days. That's threefold. But there's 2 parts. the part before the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the part after that. And then you have the seventh day by itself, which is, again, the total week is threefold. The first 3 days, part 1. The second 3 days, part 2. And the Sabbath day, part 3. And Yahweh's ages and dispensations follow a similar format. Maybe we'll get into a little of that. I am not going to try to use this to go into all the dates and prophecies and other details today. Gee, how can you imagine? All right, please read.
The veils have 3 colors, blue, purple, and scarlet,
Now,
showing.
here's another threefoldness, okay? You had 3 areas where there were hangings of blue, purple, and scarlet. 2 of those were dividing veils. They were veil that divided between the holy place and the court round about, but you also had hangings at the court gate. And so those threefold, those 3 sets of hangings were threefold in color, blue and purple and scarlet. And again, this shows, again, Yahweh and how he operates, because blue is at the higher energy or lowest wavelength, higher frequency, higher energy, part of the visible spectrum. And then the purple, okay, is in pigments. It is a blending of red or scarlet and blue. That's how you make purple. You mix or blend the pigments of blue and of scarlet or red together, and you get the color purple. Purple is what they call a transition color. There are 3 primary colors, and they are red, green, and blue. Okay? But there are transition colors and intermediate colors, so even colors are threefold, and purple is one of those transition and or intermediate type colors. So you have blue, and then you have purple, which is like a blend. It's in between, it's intermediate between the blue and then the scarlet or red. And the red is the lower energy, lower frequency, higher wavelength part of the visible spectrum. So in other words, if Yahshua is the light of the world, and he is coming from the highest energy state, which vibrates so fast as to be incomprehensible and inscrutable, slowed down, coming into visibility, and then operating through the creation. He's coming through the blue. You know, first of all, he's coming from the, what do you call those wavelengths that are so high you can't see them? Yeah, it's like, yes, ultraviolet and beyond, okay? It's beyond that. And then he's slowing it down, and then he's coming through the blue and the purple and the scarlet. And blood happens to be red or scarlet, and the blood is only in earthly creatures, okay? Not in angels. Yes, ma'am? Oh, right. She said, I said, red is the lower energy yet higher frequency. What I should have said was that red is the lower energy, higher wavelength, lower frequency. Frequency and wavelength are inverse, which means this, that if you have any part of the electromagnetic spectrum, visible light is a small portion of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. If you have something that vibrates faster, it's more frequent. That's higher frequency. And since it's faster, it's higher energy. But the length of the waves ends up being shorter to compact all those frequencies into a shorter period of time. Make sense? if you allow that energy to expand out over more time, the length of the wave between peak and peak, or trough and trough, the length gets greater, but the frequency gets less and lower, and so the energy level gets lower. Red is a lower energy, lower frequency vibration than blue. Blue is a higher frequency, higher energy vibration than red. Okay, now we can go into, if you need the science background on that, we can go into it. But that's a fact, and I hope I stated that clearly this time instead of reversing the statement. Thank you. All right.
Showing a transition from heaven, blue of the sky, to earth, red blood in the earth.
Right. Yeah, and the sky is blue. Yahweh just made it that way. Isn't that something? Okay? And anyway, go ahead. The way he did it is wonderful. And also, he shows that you have a spectrum up there when he has the bow, the rainbow, okay? And the 7 colors that are classic colors of the rainbow. Go ahead and read.
The gate or entrance is 30 feet wide.
This gate or the entrance here is 30 feet wide. 30 feet wide here. Go ahead.
Yahshua entered his ministry at age 30.
Now, when the priest goes in, he's going into the tabernacle to enter his ministry. Yahshua, that foreshadows how Yahshua will enter his ministry at the age of 30. Okay, go ahead.
The door was 3 feet wide, like the 3 full years of his ministry.
The door is only 3 feet wide. 30 feet here, 3 feet here. 30 feet here, 3 feet here, okay? And so he enters his ministry at the age of 30. He completes 3 full years of ministry in his flesh. That is showing the distance of the door, the width of the door. And then, of course, after that, his death, burial, and resurrection takes place, and he begins ministering in the Spirit. And so the priest foreshadows that by going into the holy place, and these things show the spiritual things. Like I said, it was in here that you had angelic figures, and it was in here that you had vessels that were made of or overlaid with gold, which is more precious than the bronze or brass that these vessels are made of. These can be shined up to look pretty good like gold, but they never have the value, and they tarnish. And the gold is showing, in principle, the spiritual things which are everlasting, don't tarnish, and have sustained value. Okay?
It was 9 feet tall times 3 feet wide.
Now the door was 9 feet tall, and it was 3 feet wide. Go ahead.
Or by 3 feet wide, as the 930 years of Adam's life.
And that shows that Adam would live 930 years. He was the first man to come into the world. He walked in to the door, so to speak, in the physical, and he lives 930 years, and so that is prefigured here. Okay? Go ahead.
The blood of the sacrifice was placed around all 360 inches of the altar of sacrifice.
Now this altar of sacrifice was 90 inches on the side, which is, 7.5 feet and 5 cubits. So it was 5 cubits on the side, which translates to 7.5 feet, which translates to 90 inches. Okay?
A circle is
Hold on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I want to just make sure this is clear. So the blood was placed on the 4 horns on the corners of the altar, but if you read, it was also placed around the entire rim of the altar. And the remainder of the blood was poured out at the bottom of the altar. Okay? So you had blood encircling or going around the entire perimeter of the altar. It's not really a circle because it's a square in configuration on the top. Okay? All right, please read.
A circle is 360 degrees around, and the earth is referred to as a circle.
Now, a circle has 360 degrees. 360 degrees gives you the entire circle. And when you go around and close off the structure of anything, you would be going a total of 360 degrees. But it just so happens that in the screwy system of imperial units called inches, this was 360 inches around. It also is 360 degrees around. And that's the distance of a circle. And in the Bible, the earth is referred to as the circle of the earth. Okay? All right. And this becomes important. We'll go into some other things. But this is not a round circle. This is a square which has 4 corners. And the 4 corners are right angles. Everybody's heard of right angles. I hope you remember what those are. Okay? A right angle is a turn of how many degrees?
90.
90 degrees. So there was 90 degrees here at this corner. You turn from here to here, you go 90 degrees. You turn from here to here, you go 90 degrees. You turn from here to here, you go 90 degrees, and this last turn is another 90 degrees. That is 4 90s, which if you multiply 4 times the 90 is 360 degrees. But it also gives you the correlational numeral of 490 because it's 4 90s. Okay, please read.
A prophetic year is a 360-day cycle.
Now, Yahweh in the prophecies used a year as 360 days, not 365 and a quarter, not 354, which is a full solar year. But Yahweh in the prophecies used a year as 360 days. And we could show you in different places in the Bible where that comes out to be that way. And Dr. Hudson was working a little bit the other day with some of the numbers that are relating to the 360, having to do with the 1260, 1290, 1335. We may touch on those in here. But the point is, it's 360 days is a full cycle or full year in the way Yahweh has prophesied everything out. Okay, please read on.
This shows that Yahshua's blood covered or atoned for the whole world through all time.
So Yahshua's the blood of the sacrifice went around the entire rim of the altar, showing that the blood of Yahshua would atone for all of mankind, not only in the distance, but also in all time. Because of the 360, that's a full year, full cycle in Yahweh's purpose. Go ahead.
Also, a circle or prophetic time cycle is 490 years, and the altar had 4 sides of 90 inches and 4 angles of 90 degrees around it.
I mentioned the 4 angles of 90 degrees, but again, each side was 90 inches, so that's again another witness of 490.
The
Okay.
priests circled the altar twice daily, like Yahshua cycled 490 years twice per 1,000-year day.
Now, the priest had to offer morning sacrifice and evening sacrifice, okay? Or actually morning and what today you'd call afternoon. Okay, they call it evening, it's between the evenings. But that was twice a day. So the priest would go around here with that twice a day, okay? And again, if that's representing 490, how many 490s can you fit into a 1,000-year period? 2, right? So that'd be 980. 2 times 490 is 980, which fits into a 1,000-year period. A day with Yahweh is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as 1 day. So you had 2 490 cycles each day here with the priest, showing the two 490-year cycles, each 1,000 years in Yahweh's timetable. Please read.
Time cycles in 7s, 70s, 490s, or 77s.
So you have a base number of 7. And Yahweh cycles times in 7s, 7 of different units. Each unit in the Bible would be called a week. We think of a week as being 7 days. That is one type of week. But there can be a week of years, which is simply a cycle of 7 years. Okay? Or there can be a week of 1,000-year periods, which would be 7,000 years, or whatever it is. The point is, a week is simply a sequence of 7 that may repeat in a cycle. Okay? Please read.
The sacrifice was laid on the wood on the grating in the center of the altar of sacrifice.
Now, if you read it, they laid the wood on the altar and the sacrifice on the wood. When Yahshua was crucified, he was carrying a cross made of what?
Wood.
Wood. And in order to nail him to that cross, they had to lay it down on the ground like they laid the wood down here. Okay? And you notice this has a grating which has cross pieces. So they're laying him on a wooden cross, nailing him to it, and then lifting it up to hang him. Okay, please read.
Its 4 sides were 7.5 feet long, so it was 30 feet around the perimeter, showing that Yahshua was around for 30 years before his ministry.
So that's another thing. It not only was 7.5 feet on the side, or 90 inches, or 360 total, okay, inches around on all 4, but that entire distance is 30 feet. Again, how would Moses go, I want to encode something so that 3,000 years later, when they invent this system of units that is totally arbitrary, that it will correspond to everything? Moses couldn't do that.
Right.
The only one that could do that was the one that created the universe and made sure that every event throughout time corresponded in such a way that men down, when they wanted to invent a system of units called the imperial system of units, would do it in a way that would match and fit what Yahweh already had put down in his tabernacle pattern. I want you to understand here what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with somebody that figured something out. You're dealing with the Creator who has revealed himself in a way that is most intricate, so that you have every reason to have faith in him. And to put it in another way that Dr. Kinley and the Scriptures use frequently, so that you're without excuse for not believing in him. Go ahead.
Its center is 3 3/4 feet from the side, showing that Yahshua was laid on the wood on the cross 3 3/4 years into his ministry.
So if it's 7.5 feet on the side, half the distance is 3 3/4 feet. Yahshua's ministry was 3 3/4 years. Sometimes we just round it off to 3.5 years, but it was 3 years and almost 10 months, or 3 3/4 years, 3 years, 9 months, and so, which would be 3 3/4 years. And it was 3 3/4 feet from the edge to the center of the altar, and that's where Yahshua was laid when he was crucified. Please read.
2377 years of post-Diluvian age are as 1,200 inches, gate to second veil, plus 1,200 inches minus 23 feet, return to altar equals 2377.
Okay, I'll write this down, because I'm sure hearing it verbally is not going to compute in every sense. But I want you to visually see what we're talking about if we take all of what Yahweh had wrapped up in eternity and stretch it out linearly over time, form a timeline structuring like this chart shows the ages and the dispensations. You have a time between the Garden of Eden and the flood. That's called the antediluvian age. You have a time period between the flood and the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahshua the Messiah. That period is called the post-diluvian age. And you have a time period between that resurrection of Yahshua the Messiah and the universal revelation of Yahshua. This is called the present kingdom age. Okay? Now, yes, there's other details, which I need to mention briefly, only for the purpose of making sure that somebody does not misunderstand. Each age ends before the next age begins. And there is an interim period in between each age. A transition, and it's a threefold transition, like a threefold veil in between each section of the tabernacle. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I just want you to understand, generally speaking, you'd say it was 1,656 years for the antediluvian age, 2,377 years for the post-diluvian age, and the present kingdom age. And this is where people really want to know and calculate things, and then they get all screwed up. The present kingdom age technically ended in 1960. Just like the antediluvian age ended before the flood. Now it's 1656 to the flood, but the age, as far as Yahweh is concerned, ended 120 years before the flood. Because it was 120 years before the flood that he made a declaration or a statement to Noah. He says, the end of all flesh is come before me. And he gave Noah 120 years to preach as a probationary period or a grace period after that, after Yahweh declared the end of that age, in order to prepare for the salvation, okay, of those souls that would make it into the ark. This age in 1960 ended long before the flood of fire that will dissolve this physical creation at this point called the universal revelation of Yahshua the Messiah. The age ended, or the world ended, years ago. Okay? 1960 was how many years ago? A lot. 65 years. And in a couple of days, they'll call it 66. Right? Okay? But anyway, just wanted to mention this. Dr. Kinley called that period of time between 1960 and the universal revelation of Yahshua, which goes along with the consummation of the universe, he called that an extended probationary period. And even that is timed out specifically. And again, I'm not going to probably have time to go into any detail about that today. I just want you to understand Yahweh's got this all taken care of. All right, so now let me see. Read that again, and I know I need to write this out so that people can understand what the numbers are.
2,377 years of post-diluvian age are as 1,200 inches.
Okay, so we have 12. Yeah, I'm going to have to, I'm going to do this over here because I need a few. So we have 1,200 inches. Okay, quotation marks after a number like that represents inches. If it's a single slash, it represents feet. Okay, and you'll see that in the document if you read it. It was 1,200 inches or 100 feet, right? 12 inches in a foot. Does that make sense? You understand? This is 100 feet. Okay? It was 100 feet from the gate to this second veil, which is 1,200 inches. Okay? And the priest would have to go there and back. Okay? Go ahead.
Plus 1,200 inches.
All right, so now, if he goes 1,200 inches in and 1,200 inches back, he would have a full distance all the way out of the tabernacle. And that would be a total of 2,400 inches. Okay? However, Yahshua the Messiah offered himself here on the altar. Okay? And so that altar is 23 feet in from the gate. In other words, it's 23 feet less than the full distance back. So if you got the 2,400 and you minus the 23 feet, and yes, I am mixing units. This has to do with correlational mathematics, not just scientific calculational mathematics. You have to use both those. Okay? So 2,400 minus 23 equals 2377. Okay? All right. Now the 1656 is in there too.
Next.
And that's coming up, I think, next, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The 46 feet gate to the laver shows the year of the flood, 1656 AM. 46 feet times 12 inches per foot equals 552 inches times step 3 equals 1656.
I'll get back to it. Let's read it again and we'll take it apart. Please read.
The 46 feet
Now, there's 46 feet from
gate to laver.
From the gate all the way to the laver. The laver has what?
Water.
It has water in it. Where in the ages do you see this big thing of water? Right here at the flood, right? And how long was that from when time began to be counted? 1,656 years. So, in principle, you have the flood of waters represented by the laver, and you have that in principle 1,656 in from the gate. And how do you calculate it? It is 46 feet . 46 feet, that's where the laver is 46 feet in from the gate. But how many inches are there in a foot? 12 inches, and that's 552 inches. And
Times step 3.
And this step is step number 3 in the pattern.
Or by step.
Gate step 1, altar step 2, laver step 3, door step 4, holy place step 5, second veil step 6, most holy place step 7. So this is the third step, and that is 1,656.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Another interesting thing, just as a note. We may get to it in a minute. I don't know if it's even in the paper. You see, when you have this shown out in a form like you would have here displayed in a visionary format so that you could see it. You have a 3 across from the laver, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't the laver form a circle?
A circle. Mm-hmm.
So 3 circle is 30 or 30. Yahshua the Messiah was baptized and entered into his ministry at the age of 30, which will, I think it's in here. Anyway, go ahead and read.
It shows the 46-year age of Herod's temple when Yahshua was baptized in water in the laver to begin his ministry at age 30, step 3.
So in John the 2nd chapter, the year Yahshua is baptized and goes into his ministry, he tells them, he says, you tear this temple down, and in 3 days I'll build it up again. He was standing by the Herodian temple, okay? And the people said, this building has been being built on for 46 years. How are you going to build it up in 3 days? But he was not talking about Herod's temple. He was talking about the temple of his body, which is the true temple. The tabernacle was made to represent his body. The temple was made to represent his glorified or spiritual body. And after this body died and raised, he was raised spiritual without flesh and blood. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? All right. So this 46 years that the physical temple is being built is the same year as when Yahshua is at the age of 30 years. Okay? Please read.
And said he would raise up the true temple, his body, in 3 days, John 2:19 through 21. After his 3.5 years in ministry, Herod's temple was 49 years old.
Now, his ministry was 3.5 years. I'm just putting a 0.5 there for now. 3.5. You can make it 3.5. I don't care. Okay? Same principle. Okay? But it's 3.5 years. That was his ministry. He entered his ministry here, baptized. His baptism and ministry began at 30. But he was in ministry for a full 3.5 years, 3.75 years, 3.5 is the way you figure it. Now, in terms of what Dr. Hudson was going over, this 3.5 years, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to go into all the details of this, this 3.5 years is the fulfillment of the 1260, or 42 months, or times and half a time in the prophecies. It's a fulfillment of that in the physical. But then when you go into the spiritual age, which is the present kingdom age, you have a reflection of the same thing. So what you have is 3.5 coming to Yahshua, and 3.5 going from Yahshua. And so Yahshua is in the middle of a cycle of 7, which is him appearing in the midst of the week. Okay? All right, go ahead and read.
46 plus 3 equals 49, or 7.
Now the 46 is 46 years.
7, 7.
So if I'll bring this over here. You add 3, and that brings you to 49 years. The temple is 49 years old the year that Yahshua is crucified. Okay? Go ahead.
And Yahshua raised 3 days after death.
Yep. And so Yahshua raised 3 days after death. Go ahead.
He dedicated the temple, his spiritual body, or church, 50 days later on Pentecost of Jubilee.
So again, you have that principle of 3.5. Okay? This is 3.5 before his resurrection. You have another principle of 3.5, 3 days to the resurrection, and then 50 days from the resurrection until he pours out the Holy Spirit. The 50 is as the 0.5. So again, 3.5 on one side, 3.5 on the other side. Okay? Makes 7. But that brings the temple, Herod's temple, to an age of 50 years. Okay? This is at Pentecost. At the Pentecost of Jubilee. Because, I might have had an extra L in there, but this particular Pentecost was not the only Pentecost that ever occurred. Pentecost was an annual convocation or holy day of Yahweh. This particular Pentecost was the one where the Holy Spirit was poured out, and that was also in a Jubilee year. The Jubilee year occurred every 50 years, is when you had the Jubilee, every 50 years.
The 50th year of Herod's temple.
Okay, and that was the 50th year of Herod's temple. Go ahead.
This fulfilled the 490 years, 70 weeks, 70 times 7 prophecy in Daniel 9:24 through 27.
So this 49 years fulfills the 490 years prophecy in Daniel, which I'll get into maybe a little bit more. Okay? All right? Go ahead and read.
457 BBY to ABY 33.
Okay, now that 490 years, hold on, I got to erase and write down some more. Oh boy, come on. Erase. Okay, read that last statement again.
Okay. This fulfilled the 490 years, 70 weeks, 70 times 7 prophecy in Daniel 9:24 through 27.
So, this 50th year of Herod's temple, on the Jubilee year, which is every 50 years, was at the end of the 490-year cycle that Daniel prophesied about in Daniel 9. Okay? And so that 49 years leading up to that with Herod's temple, and then the extra 1 year that brings you to the 50th year, all of that fulfills with Yahshua the 490-year cycle. And you'll find out as we go into that cycle that this last week, or the 70th week of the cycle, is set by itself. That's the year where Yahshua came in, which is like the foot that, it was the 70th foot where the priest stood here at the door. Okay? Now, we say it's a 490-year cycle. If we read Daniel, the 9th chapter, I don't know if we'll have time to read everything.
Daniel 9:24 through 27.
Yeah. You know what? This is worth taking a minute, even if we don't get through everything else. This is worth taking a minute to read in the Bible so you understand what's going on. So go get Daniel 9:24 through 27.
Daniel 9:24 through 27. 70 weeks of years are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to restrain transgression and make an end of sin offerings, and to make atonement for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to complete the prophetic vision, and anoint the most holy.
Okay, now there's more to it, but we're going to go back and take this apart piece by piece. 70 weeks of years. A week is how many?
7 days.
7. Okay, so it's 70 sevens. And that's 70 weeks of years, which is a total of 490 years, are determined upon Daniel's people and upon the holy city, which is Jerusalem, to do 6 things. It says in the holy name to restrain transgression. It says in the King James to finish the transgression. It says in the holy name to make an end of sin offering, which is the same word as sin. So he made an end of sin and sin offering, physical. Okay? All right, let's read it again.
And-
right?
From the beginning.
Yep.
70 weeks of years are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to restrain transgression,
Finish transgression.
and make an end of sin offerings,
Make an end of sin or sin offering.
and to make an atonement for iniquity,
So, make the atonement. Okay, go ahead.
and to bring in everlasting righteousness,
Okay, so to bring in everlasting righteousness.
to complete the prophetic vision,
All right, and it says to complete the prophetic vision. In the King James, I think it says to seal up, I believe it says, the vision. Okay,
Daniel
which
9:24.
it's the same principle. He's bringing it to where it's all closed up, to close up what the vision is talking about. Or to, I'm going to use another word, to fulfill.
To make reconciliation for iniquity.
The vision, and to make reconciliation for iniquity. Okay?
And to bring in everlasting righteousness.
Okay. And to bring in everlasting righteousness. I got that here. Okay.
And
go
to
ahead.
seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy.
Yeah, there we go. I knew something wasn't right. Okay. The last thing is to anoint the most holy or the most holy place. Okay? Now, this has to occur in the 70 weeks. It was mentioned in the paper, I think, that this began
457
In-
BBY.
Yep, 457 BBY, meaning before the birth of Yahshua, the Messiah. Okay? And it goes until AD 33. 457 plus 33 is how many years? That's 490 years. Okay? That is the time period in which this occurs. In AD 33 or 34, when this Pentecost takes place, this spiritual body of Yahshua the Messiah, church or temple, is anointed. That's the anointing in the most holy place. Yahshua accomplished this during his ministry, the 3.5 years, and during his death, burial, resurrection, and tearing on the earth, place, and ascension, which is another 3.5. What he did was he finished the transgression. Okay? That is the transgression that occurred from Adam and was passed on down to everybody. That made an end of that. That finished the transgression. It made an end of sin, that sin, and any physical offerings for sin that ever were to be made. There is no sacrifice for sin other than the sacrifice that Yahshua the Messiah made before, and to offer sacrifice for sin after that is in principle to deny that Yahshua's sacrifice did the job. He is the fulfillment, the reality, the end of all of it. Made an end of sin or sin offering. He made atonement or reconciliation. Okay? And he paid the price. His precious blood. That was the price. Okay? He balanced the scales out. Where Adam fell, Yahshua raised. That balanced everything out. Other details and correlations that we can go into. He made the atonement or the reconciliation. He brought in everlasting righteousness, not the righteousness of works of the law, but the righteousness of the faith of Yahshua the Messiah. Okay? He sealed up or fulfilled the vision. He did everything that this vision required to be done. He is the end all, be all. He sealed up the vision, fulfilled the vision and the prophecy, and he anointed the most holy, or he had the Holy Spirit poured out on the church which is his body, which is the most holy place. Does that make sense? That's the true temple. Okay, this is really the true temple of his body. Okay, I hope you can see those things Yahshua achieved. Okay? Now, as with everything, there's details. So I got to erase this and go to more. All right, please read on.
The 23 feet laver to the door is like the 2,300 days until the sanctuary was cleansed.
Okay, so now, this 70 weeks is broken up into segments. Just like the 70 feet from the gate to the door is broken up into segments. Okay? So, read that again.
The 23 feet laver to the door is like the 2,300 days until the sanctuary was cleansed.
So-
Daniel 8, 13, and 14.
Right, there's another prophecy, not Daniel 9, but Daniel 8, where he says, how long shall be the vision concerning the sacrifice and the daily oblation until it's taken away? And it says it shall be 2,300 days until the sanctuary is cleansed. That 2,300 days, when the sanctuary is cleansed, is at the end, or it is part of that 490 years we just already talked about. Okay? And so he has to make a cleansing of the sanctuary. Now the priest, I can say I'm not going to get through much more than this today. The priest went in to the most holy place 3 times on the Day of Atonement. First time was for the offering for himself and his family. The second was for the offering of the sins of the people. And the third time was for the cleansing of the sanctuary. That cleansing of the sanctuary was the third and the last trip in there. Okay? And it said, how long shall this be? Until the 2,300 days. Okay? Now, again, 1,000 years with Yahweh is as what?
1 day.
A day, and a day is as
1,000
years. So 2,300 days can simply be 2 days. That takes care of 2,000, right? And then a portion of a day, which would be like the 300. The day that Yahshua was crucified is day 1. That's 1,000 years being fulfilled in the prophecy. Day 2 is the Sabbath day, Saturday. We call it Saturday. They didn't call it Saturday. Which is the day that his body was fully at rest in the tomb. And the third day was early in the morning, about sunrise, when Yahshua the Messiah raised from the tomb. And so you have 1,000, 2,000, and then you have the 300th part of the day, 2,300 days. Okay? And that days of his death, burial, and resurrection are the 2,300 days to the cleansing of the sanctuary. Without going into a lot more detail of calculation, that 300 can be compared to the 30 in the 930 years that Adam lived, because when Yahshua raised the 300th part of the day, he went and completed the entire rest of the day. So if you got 300 out of 1,000, how many more parts are you going to have in that day left? 700 remaining. And he finished that, and that is where, since he raised at the moment that Adam drew his last breath and died, then he's carrying Adam and all those from Adam that believe in Yahshua on into the Father, just like when the priest went in to the third time with the garments for glory and beauty, he presented to the Father those that he is representing, and the sanctuary now is going to be cleansed. Okay? Volume 4, page 45. Okay? If you got it handy, we'll read it. If not, we'll move on. That part is on page 48. The cleansing of the sanctuary starts on page 45 of volume 4. But the 2,300 days are simply the 2 days. The day Yahshua was crucified, the day Yahshua is at rest in the tomb, and the third day is the 300th part of the day. That's the day that Yahshua raised. Those 3 days are the 2,300 days that this is necessary for the sanctuary to be cleansed. Okay? And when Yahshua raises, he has taken care of all the sin. He's cleansed it. And that physical body no longer has any sin on it after his resurrection. That's the sanctuary where all the sin was placed, was on Yahshua's body. That body was consumed in the tomb, burnt up. And so the sin was burnt up along with it in Yahweh's eyesight. And when he raised, he did not raise flesh and blood or a physical body, and did not raise the body that had the holes and everything in it, although he was able to appear in a form that they would recognize. His body was spiritual and without sin. Just like the priest, when he went into the tabernacle in here, he could not wear the bloody garments of the butchering that was happened down here. He had to wash and put on clean linen garments. So Yahshua had to wash and put on that clean spiritual embodiment, so to speak, when he raised. Okay? You got it real quick? We're going to run out of time right
Okay, this
away.
is the fourth volume on page, it started on 45, just giving you the title, The Cleansing of the Sanctuary and the 2,300 Days of the Prophecy. Then we're going to go to the top of page 48. Here, we can understand that where the breath of life left the body of Adam, this is the instant Yahshua Messiah, Elohim, raised from the dead, redeeming or reconciling the world onto himself,
Right.
or abolishing death and bringing life and immortality to light. 2 Timothy 1:10.
Right.
So,
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and read through.
also the charts, plates 31C and 32C, John 20, 21 through 22, Acts 2, 1 through 2. 1,000 years equals 1 day with Yahweh,
Right.
minus 700 years, the 700th part of 1 day which Adam lived short of 1,000.
See, Adam lived 700 years short of the 1,000 years day, 700th part, or 70 years short of 1,000 years. Adam lived 930 years. He's short. He doesn't have the power in himself to go the full day with Yahweh. Okay? Yahshua, however, raises him and takes him on in, just like he does spiritually with every soul that believes in Yahshua. Okay? Go ahead and read.
So the 1,000 minus 700 equals 300 years, the 300th part of the 1 day in which Elohim rose from the dead.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.
The priest offered the sacrifice, death, washed at the laver, burial, and entered the holy place, resurrection, through the door 23 feet from the laver. He was cleansed and changed into clean linen garments, foreshadowing the resurrected spiritual body of Yahshua, cleansed of sin. He took on his physical body, which was burned up in the tomb.
Right. Good.
Okay.
We got time for another statement,
yep.
maybe. I know
Second
you want
page.
page 2.
The 23 feet gate to altar plus 23 feet altar to laver, total 46 feet, are as two witnesses leading to the last 23 feet laver to door, all totaling 69, coming to where the high priest stood in the 70th foot.
Right. That's right. Hold on. Let me go back. This 2,300 that we're talking about is comparable to the 23 feet from the laver to the door. Yahshua would be there at the end of this, like the priest would be there at the end of this to be anointed, and then he would go into the holy place with clean linen garments like Yahshua would raise and go in the spiritual body and complete that 70th part. He's got to go through the 7th step here in the tabernacle. Okay, now, this is the 23 feet that we're talking about here, foreshadowing that 2,300 days. But there's witnesses of these 2,300 that lead up to it. 2 witnesses. The 23 feet from the gate to the altar and the 23 feet from the altar to the laver lead up to this 23 feet right here. Okay? All right, please read. Again.
These two 23s compare to the first 3 days of the vision of creation,
Okay.
and the second 3 days, which together lead to the 7th day.
Now, there's 2 23 feet periods. One here, and that leads to this one that ends with the 70th foot. So what you have, read that statement again.
Okay. These two 23s compare to the first 3 days of the vision of creation.
Moses had this vision of Yahweh Elohim creating. The first 3 days, days 1, 2, and 3, are like these first 23 in here, and the second 23 are right here, comparing to this. Okay? So this is like days 1, 2, and 3, and days another 1, but it's day 4, 5, and 6. I'll do it this way. 1, 2, and 3 plus 4, 5, and 6 bring you to day 7. Okay? All right. Go ahead.
Where Yahweh Elohim stood upright in rest or Sabbath along with his earthly figure.
Right.
Adam standing raised up from the ground and placed in the Garden of Eden in his innocent state.
Yep.
Count days 1, 2, 3 of the creation vision as 2, 3, like 23 gate to altar. Vegetation raised the 3rd day without blood as the first life in earth before time was marked by the sun, moon, and stars on the 4th day.
Life without blood, the vegetation. These in the earth represent the angels that have bodies without flesh and blood, that they were created first before the physical creatures. And they were created in eternity before time. Now, on day 4, that's when you had the sun, the moon, and the stars, which are Yahweh's timekeepers. So that is showing in principle that this occurred before time, and this occurs in time in principle. Okay? All right, go ahead and read.
This showed Yahshua would raise the 3rd day without flesh and blood as the first begotten of the dead, fulfilling the angels made in spiritual bodies without blood as the first created life in eternity before time.
So that's when Yahshua raises this 3rd day. Go ahead.
Count days 4, 5, 6 of the creation vision as a second 2, 3.
Yes.
Together they total 46, showing the 46-year age of the temple.
So the 23 plus 23 ends up adding up to the 46, which is shown here as the 46th foot, and is fulfilled by Yahshua entering his ministry after his baptism, which the laver shows, at the 46th year of Herod's temple being built. Okay?
The 46 feet gate to laver and 46 chromosomes, which declare the end from the beginning.
Now, since he made man in his image and likeness, he makes man so that there's 23 chromosomes from the man, 23 chromosomes from the woman, and together they are 46 chromosomes, and they determine what that child is going to be throughout his entire life. They determine the end from the beginning.
The final 23, labor to door and priest, at 69 and 70, show Yahshua's death, burial, resurrection in the 70th week. This fulfills the prophecies of 2300 days and the 69 and 70 weeks in which Yahshua cleanses the sanctuary of his body, finishes transgression, ends sin, atones for iniquity, brings in everlasting righteousness, seals the vision, anoints the most holy to be glorified in eternity or Sabbath of rest.
Which is the 6 things we just went through and listed.
Last one.
Go ahead.
The candlestick or lampstand was 960 inches, 80 feet from the gate, and was the first item seen in the holy place, as it was seen when John turned to see the voice at the beginning of his revelation in AD 96.
John's sitting here. He hears the voice behind him. It's the voice of many waters. He turns to see it, and he sees the 7 golden lampstands or candlesticks, and the one in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks clothed with the garment all the way down to the foot, because it's that 4th branch in the middle that goes all the way down to the foot or the floor.
At age 80, like Moses.
And this occurs, remember, this is 80 feet. Imperial system of units. Didn't know anything about it in Moses' time. 80 feet from the gate to where that lampstand was. 80 years old is when Moses is seeing Yahweh Elohim appear in the burning bush. That's the lampstand in the holy place here. 80 years old here, okay? And all these things, okay, Yahweh has it correlated by the pattern. Go ahead and read. I got to finish.
The priest stood before Yahweh's Ark of the Covenant, 1,260 inches from the gate, prefiguring the 1260 days, or 3.5 years, 3.5 times 360 days, or 42 months, 3.5 times 12 of Yahshua's ministry. Add 30 more to the Ark, 1290, as the 30 years of Yahshua's birth to ministry. Add 45 width of the Ark, totaling 1335, as the 1335 days to full blessing.
What you get in Exodus, the 37th chapter, which you read at the beginning of class. And obviously I don't have time to explain all the details, but I hope you see this is from Yahweh himself. And I hope you have every reason to have thorough confidence in him and in Yahshua the Messiah and in this teaching, which is his gift. Praise Yahshua. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Welsh. That brings a close to our class for today. I hope you all enjoyed that. Announcements are as follows. Classes are held every Wednesday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Sundays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our after-class question and answer period is the 3rd Friday of each month. For January, it will be the 16th. Members and ministers, we ask that you come to class, be on time, and dress appropriately so that you may be called as a speaker. And let's see, there's who am I looking for? Yep, officers. I believe we have a meeting after class. Just to let you know. That concludes our announcements. Let's rise for the doxology so that we may be dismissed. I will be quoting the last 2 verses of the book of Jude from the Holy Name Bible. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all say, Hallelujah.
to glorify the Father. Yahshua. Inside of me, but you are the one. I just wanna be in you, and you in me. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, I just wanna walk with you. Glorify him. We're made to glorify the Father. That's glorify. He teaches us everything that we must know, and it's his word we must obey every day. He's showing us what path we must take. If we just get ourselves out the way, we see that his love is so true and divine. We better hurry up and receive Yahshua inside, in hopes that he will help us to make it on through. That Yahshua is our guide, so we can glorify him. We were made to glorify the Father. But you glorify the Father. to keep on glorifying Yahshua in every